LeBron James is back on the court. He's only shooting free throws, but he's back on the court. The Rams are salary cap compliant. Yay, remodeling. And if Austin Ekeler really wants a trade out of the Chargers system, where could he land? Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it's March 15th, 2023. It is a lovely day, sort of, up in Portland. I got one more day up here before I go back home and see the wife. So let's talk a little LA sports and pass the time. If you like the content that we put out, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring, let people know we exist, and by all means, comment. It's a great way to pass the time, and LA's always got something going on. So before we go through the news and notes, look at the scoreboard. Yesterday, Anthony Davis, he just went nuts. And you know why? It's because they love him so much in New Orleans, don't you think? Yeah, he scores 35 points, grabs 17 rebounds. Lakers 123, Pelicans 108. If the playoffs started today, the Lakers would be in the play-in tournament. We'll have to see how that plays out because it's a tenuous grip at best. Meanwhile, 5 different Kings score, but Vladislav Gavrikov adds 2 assists as the Kings defeat the New York Islanders 5-2. Meanwhile, today, the Lakers are playing at Houston at 5 o'clock. Davis is not going to play tonight. What the Lakers are trying to do, it's a back-to-back thing. They want to make sure that the guy's keeping his health together. And Golden State is at the Clippers. That game is at 7 o'clock. Now, Shams Charania of The Athletic says that the Lakers believe LeBron James, quote, will need a significant chunk, unquote, of playing time to ramp up for a return. They're basically saying, hey, the foot feels much better. He has returned to the courts during shoot-around last night out in New Orleans. Now, granted, it's standalone shooting, not jumpers, not post moves, not running the floor. It's simply baby steps. They believe that LeBron James, if you recall, would need 3 weeks before reevaluating the foot to make sure that he could play again. That first injury came out on February 26th in a game against Dallas. 3 weeks is March 19th. That would be Sunday. Fingers crossed. D'Angelo Russell has expressed interest in staying with the Lakers, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, and the Lakers, they're basically saying likewise. Of course, nobody's asked Swaggy P what he thinks of this little development. Russell's in the final year of his contract. The idea of what Russell wants is something in the neighborhood of 4 years, more than $120 million. Similar to what Tyler Hero has over in Miami, maybe a few bucks more. You never know. But having said that, is D'Angelo Russell worth that much money? Considering the fact he's bounced around the league quite a bit, he hasn't really found a home. Is this just basically a hot streak in order to basically pry a big chunk of money out of the Buss family? The Rams are under the salary cap thanks to reworking offensive lineman Joe Noteboom's contract. He was a potential Cup casualty. If you recall, he signed a 3-year deal for $40 million before last season started, and we all know how the offensive line for the Rams performed last season. That, you figure it was Noteboom's contract being reworked, plus the Jalen Ramsey trade, plus cutting Leonard Floyd, plus cutting Bobby Wagner. And now they've gone from $14 million over the cap to $15 million potentially in salary cap space. Now, that doesn't mean that they can go on a shopping spree. It just basically means that they're cap compliant while they are trying to basically, as they're calling it, a remodel, get themselves ready for draft picks in 2024 and even more salary cap space then. This is a mixed bag of a development in the sense that, as I mentioned, offensive line was a major issue for LA. Noteboom and center Brian Allen were not particularly reliable. But again, $15 million in cap space right now, potentially. Now, having said that, CBSSports.com graded the Rams' offseason so far as a D, which honestly is extremely harsh. A lot of sports writers now are piling on the Rams. Oh, it's time for them to pay the piper for the F the pick stuff. And you know what? Yeah, they are paying the piper. But we knew this was coming along. We knew that credit card bill had to get paid off at some time because we're grown-ups, right? And if you could pay that credit card off, so to speak, in 1 year, wouldn't you trade that 1 year of pain to get yourself firmly under the cap and reset your team? Would you trade that 1 year for 2 Super Bowl trips and a Super Bowl victory? I would. I mean, it's basically the Rams run was like a binge party, a bachelor party, if you will. You have strippers. They're all named Destiny and Dixie and I don't know, Mabel. Who cares? You're boozing it up. Everybody's having a great time. Yes, you get the hangover. This, all things being equal, if the Rams play their cards right, could be a very short hangover. It's going to be one ugly season and then possibly that remodel that they're talking about. We talked yesterday about Austin Ekeler seeking a trade or requesting to seek a trade from the Chargers because contract talks have stalled. Now, when that originally happens, everybody goes gaga, oh my God, this is a big thing. What if it's not really a big thing? What if it's just Austin Ekeler trying to see if he could use that as leverage to pry a few more bucks out of the Bolts? Because if you think about it, where could Austin Ekeler land that would be better? There aren't too many spots where it would be better. If you look at the teams that are listed as potential landing spots in an Austin Ekeler trade, do you want to go to Chicago? Do you? With that quarterback situation, with that offensive line, do you really want to go there? I wouldn't. Detroit? Maybe. But they didn't make the play. They almost made the playoffs, but they didn't. Denver. Is Denver really rebounding that quickly with Sean Payton? It's a possibility. But you can't say that at this point that they're better than the Chargers. Houston? Houston wants a running back? Absolutely not. Talk about going to hell in a handbasket. They can't even keep a coach for more than a year. The only places that make sense to me is Miami. That's a possibility. And yeah, if you want to pad your stats, you could go to Denver. Sean Payton likes a running back that can be used out of the backfield for receptions. Look at Alvin Kamara. That could work for Austin Ekeler. But again, the places where Austin Ekeler could land, if in fact a trade goes down, would be a downgrade from the place he plays at now. Would you really do that for a little extra money? Now, a friend of mine who works at the NFL Network, Adam Rank, actually thinks Carolina is an ideal landing spot. But again, how much more money can you get from these places and be playing good football? I'm just thinking out loud. I don't have inside dope when I say that. There's more going on with the Chargers than just running back drama. Right tackle Troy Pipkins agreed to a 3-year deal. Now, frankly, a lot of people are higher on him than I am. They say they like his toughness. I say it's a guy who barely got the starting job last year. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right about everything. I'm just curious if this is actually a good idea to sign him to a 3-year deal. The Chargers are also keeping Cameron Dicker, their rookie kicker last year, who twice won the Special Teams Player of the Week. He connected on 21 of 22 field goal attempts. So that's a pretty good idea. They also released guard Matt Filer. That'll give them about $6.5 million in cap savings. Now, we mentioned what CBS Sports gave the Rams as a grade. They give the Chargers offseason a C grade. And I want to tap the brakes for a moment. Who wins the offseason, right? Oh my God, I'm a sports writer. This team won the offseason. Behold, this team just reinvented themselves. Who is going to stop this team? You know, last year, who that team was? The Chargers. The Chargers were the unanimous winner of the offseason. They got bounced in the wild card game on the road. So I'm not going to panic. If I were a Chargers fan, I'm not going to panic over the fact that we didn't win this offseason. A C grade doesn't sound like a bad idea. Freddie Freeman was pulled from a World Baseball Classic game Tuesday with a hamstring issue. It's highly unlikely he's going to be playing for Team Canada today against Mexico. And the thing about the World Baseball Classic, it's not necessarily Freeman's call. It's not even necessarily Team Canada's call. Remember, he's a Dodgers property. The Dodgers have some say, and obviously as the doctors do as well. But I will say this, it is a little bit sad for Mr. Freeman because he wanted to play for Canada. Yes, he was born in Southern California, but he didn't want to play for Team USA. He wanted to play for Canada to honor his parents, who were both Canadian, particularly his mom, who died from cancer. Now, granted, I'm sure as an American, we all want our team just to be loaded with all-stars. But I'm cool with Freddie Freeman honoring his parents. Pitcher Jordan Yamamoto retired instead of being demoted to the Dodgers minor league system in spring training. He pitched only in 3 games this spring. He allowed 5 earned runs in 2 1/3 innings. So he hung it up. His Twitter profile photo now doesn't have him wearing a baseball uniform, but a cowboy hat. I guess the signal is happy trails. I have no idea, but he's hanging it up for good. The Athletic polled its college basketball writers on who should make the Final Four in March Madness. 4 of their writers took UCLA making the Final Four. The Iowa beat writer, Scott Duchterman, thinks the Bruins will win the whole shebang because of their experience, their tenacity, and their skill. The Bruins, by the way, opened their chase for the NCAA title Thursday night. Players and coaches say incoming freshman offensive lineman Elijah Page is going to be a stud for USC football, switching schools. So Elijah Page. Right tackle Jonah Mannheim said, quote, "Can't say enough good things about Page. Talent's all there, frame's all there, he's a smart kid, sky's the limit." However, there's a problem for Elijah Page. The USC offensive line is loaded already. So unless somebody gets hurt, Page is going to be riding the bench. So if you're sitting there saying, okay, great, who in the freshman class could be a surprise impact player? Fair question. Here's an answer. Linebacker Tackett Curtis. Because Eric Gentry is out for all of spring practice because of that ankle injury that he suffered about a little more than midway through of last year. If he's out for all of spring practice and Tackett Curtis goes nuts, you could figure there has been talk about moving Gentry to another position, like maybe an edge rusher of some sort. By the way, another linebacker, Shane Lee, says Curtis is picking up the defensive concepts extremely quickly. Don't be surprised then if this freshman makes the impact for the Trojans. LAFC have taken the top spot in 2 MLS power rankings, and frankly, who could argue it? They played 2 games last week. One was a CONCACAF Champions League game. Another one was in MLS. They won both games with a combined score of 7-0. Who can argue it? Meanwhile, the Galaxy are dropping in both of those same rankings, and again, can you really argue that too? Yes, it's only 2 games into the season, but they really look more wooden spoony than being on this grand rebuild to being championship level soccer. If you've seen the Galaxy's first 2 games, you are not a happy camper. And once again, the Galaxy are coming home and playing in front of a stadium where there's might be as many protesters on the outside of the stadium as fans inside. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. How soon do you want LeBron James back on the court running the fast break? Tell me what you think about the Rams and the Chargers in the offseason. Where could Austin Ekeler land if this trade request is legit? And don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos, where we're talking LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Corte El Queso production. Take care.